Okay, I just did a video that I didn't even do. I didn't hit record. Anyway, I'm at the studio here, at the Painting Pottery Studio, but so that's why it's a different location. Zeta's in the little room back there with her game, so it's going to be loud. But anyway, I got an Ask HershNoeie question, and I wrote down briefly, since I don't have my computer here, some of the main points of this person's question. But I got this question before, and I answered it a long time ago, so I'm going to touch on it again. But and maybe I didn't touch on it before. I don't know. I don't know. And if you see me looking down, it's because I don't have none of my gear here, so it's a little bit different. But I wanted to do this video because it's an important topic. But the person said they are Chinese, and she wanted to know if Tacoma would be a good fit for someone who is Asian, right? So Noelle would probably be a better fit for the question, but I will answer it overall. But anyway, they want to know if it would be a good fit. Stated that they like my videos that I do that talk about Tacoma. They've become more curious about Tacoma and just want to know if it would be a good fit overall. I get a lot of people who actually say that they find my videos and I give, I guess, decent information about Tacoma and Seattle. I think that Seattle, and she had mentioned that Seattle is a bit pricey. And I think that that is the common sentiment for a lot of people, is that Seattle is just way too expensive for a lot of folks. And so Tacoma is becoming the next option. I will say this, that I have noticed an increase in seeing more people who are Asian here in Tacoma than before. And I mention that because it is, fan's gonna blow this everywhere, because it is pretty much kind of true, right? When I went to Tacoma a few years back, just coming down here to visit, you would see obviously Asian people. You go over to Lakewood, there's a huge area there of various different Asian businesses. A lot of Korean businesses are over there. You go to our international district, and I put quotes because it's just a little bitty area. But and so anyhow, that has a lot of Vietnamese and Chinese and things like that. Down here, you're going to see more people who are going to be Vietnamese. You're going to see a lot of people who are Filipino. You're going to see a lot of Cambodians. You're going to see a lot of people who are Korean for sure. You will see some Chinese, but not in the same numbers that you would see up in Seattle. And of course, not in the same numbers for any of those people, but not in the same ratio, right? Seattle is a city that everybody knows, right? And so it is a city that a lot of Asian countries are very familiar with. And so a lot of people know of Seattle, but very few people know of Tacoma, right? There's just not a lot of people. When we had a person come here, and they're from Korea, they're from Seoul, and they were in the area and they visited here, they were impressed, right? Because over near Lakewood and Tacoma, there's a lot of Korean businesses all along that area. Now, I know that's not Chinese, but there's a lot of Korean businesses. As far as Chinese, you see a lot of Chinese students here, not a tremendous amount like what you would see up at UW Seattle, but UW Tacoma, you are seeing a growing presence. Overall, the attitude here is very similar to that of Seattle. People are pretty much very tolerant. You're not going to find people who are going to just, I mean, every now and again, obviously, you're going to find an idiot. I mean, that's just par for the course. So whether it's Seattle or here, you're going to find an idiot that's going to just be intolerant. But generally speaking, most people are pretty open-minded. I don't think that you would have any sort of difficulties here. I think that probably you're going to see more and more people similar to yourself who are looking at Tacoma and who are Chinese or Asian or Hispanic or black or white, because it's just a lot more down here. It's just a lot more flexible in terms of price, and you have a lot of the cultural amenities that people are looking for. So you have a lot of parks, you have a lot of events that go on. You have sports teams down here, so it's a really it's a great city. So I don't think that there would be a whole lot of issue there. Noel hasn't really, we talk all the time, obviously, about racial issues and things like that. There hasn't been really anything that stands out to her as far as, her being treated wrong or anything like that. And I can say for myself, there hasn't been really anything here that is just, where I felt uneasy or bad or anything like that. I mean, every now and again you're going to have your idiot, and maybe that's kind of what maybe we've experienced enough idiots over our lifetime that we just kind of look beyond that. But as far as like any sort of outward, aggression like that, we just have not seen it. We have seen where there's just been bad business practices. You will see that. But I can't say it's based on race because you see other people there who look like you, and it's hard to explain. So I don't think that a lot of those instances are race. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not racial issues in Tacoma. There are. Absolutely, there are. There's racial issues in Seattle. There's racial issues in Washington. Absolutely. You have a lot of people who are intolerant, for sure. So, I'm not going to, paint this rosy picture of a utopia because that's not the case. But by and large, most people are not going to treat you nasty. The other thing too, they have a Pacific Asian Cultural Center here in Tacoma. It's a fairly large facility, and along with a lot of other Asian groups that are here. Some of them are for like the Korean Women's Association, and they have one for Japanese, I believe. There's a lot of different things. So the Asian American Cultural Center is pretty phenomenal. I mean, it holds a lot of different events throughout the year, and so it's something that I would say get in touch with. The Filipino population here is pretty decent. They even have events here, that have really hadn't happened before, but they actually have. When I was doing this for the business here, when I was actually going through a conference, one of the individuals told of a story, and they're from Tacoma, and she is Filipina, and so she was talking about how, she has a business, but she never knew of any other Filipinas in business until she met this other person, and so they put together this whole cool little festival that they are now having every single year, and so things like that happen. So to answer your question, I think that Tacoma is probably a really good fit, good alternative to Seattle, only because we have a lot of the same things that Seattle does offer, minus the congestion, minus the high cost of doing business. So yeah, I think that it wouldn't be much of an issue. Now, as far as, some people would say, what are the number of Taiwanese people, or the number of people from Hong Kong, or, the number of people from, mainland China, or what have, that I don't know. I don't know the details of that. But I would say that there is a growing Chinese population here. Sweets is making herself known. Okay, I'll get you something in a second. We're almost done. But there is a growing population here. There's more attention focused to Tacoma just for everyone because it is a great option. So that's pretty much my take on it. Again, Noel hasn't mentioned anything. Noel has some friends who are Asian as well. There hasn't been anything that's actually been brought up that's a cause for concern. You know what I mean? Like, there's just, here people typically kind of keep to themselves, generally. You're not going to have a whole lot of outward aggression. Sometimes you will. Every now and again you'll have your, douche. But most of the time, people kind of tend to themselves. You mentioned that you're, I don't know if you want me to say your age, so I'm not going to. But we do have a university here, downtown, University of Washington, Tacoma. You'll find a lot of Asian students there. Generally, it doesn't seem like and you know, of course, Noelle works there. Doesn't seem like there's any issue. I mean, again, I have not heard of her, Noelle, saying outwardly that there's been a problem. You know what I mean? As far as our friends go, I haven't heard any issues, and Noelle hasn't mentioned anything either. So I would say pretty much the same things that you would experience up in Seattle, you're going to experience down here as far as attitudes go. There's really, and maybe even more acceptance down here, possibly, than what you would experience up in Seattle, even though the Asian population up there is much larger. So, anyhow, hopefully that made sense. To answer your question, I'm going to get this kid some food because obviously she's going to just keep bugging me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.
Take care.